Hey folks, welcome to TacMed TV. I'm going to talk about dehydration today. Alright folks, Steve here with TacMed TV. I've been gone for a little while, had a lot going on. Actually, guess we could say I've moved twice in a new place. Actually working on setting up a new studio for you guys. For those of you that are really attentive, you can tell I'm already shooting this on a new camera, kind of upgrading some stuff as we go along here with TacMed TV. Growing small, but we're still growing, and it's to you guys that I give those props to, because without you, we don't have anything. So we're going to get back on a regular schedule of getting videos out to you guys. A lot of turmoil is done and over with that we've had to deal with. So today, with it being as hot as it's been literally all across the country, and really I probably should have done this back in the spring, late winter, to get everybody prepared for this, but this is another video in the Tactical Medic series. We're going to talk about dehydration today because it is an issue, okay? Your guys, when you're taking care of your team, you have to make sure that they are properly hydrated, okay? Nothing can shut an operator down any faster than dehydration, barring some type of catastrophic wound incurred during the operation or during training. But you got to make sure your guys are hydrated, okay? Make sure the officers that you're working with are drinking plenty of fluids, they're eating properly, and they're taking care of themselves, okay? Sometimes that can be a little difficult. You may have to really force the issue to get them to drink like you need them to on these hot days. So anyway, let's talk about some of the signs and symptoms of dehydration. Some of the mild to moderate signs and symptoms, you're going to be looking at anything from increased thirst, and your thirst is the first one that kind of gets you that direction, okay? That tells you, hey, you need to drink some water. It's your body saying, hey, I'm getting dehydrated. So at that point, you're already behind the curve, all right? You know, a lot of times I've tried to tell my guys to get out to them, and my medics too, and I've tried to follow it too. Sometimes it's one of those things that slips your mind, but you've got to think about it, and it's like, you know you've got training the next day, you know you're going to be outside, you know it's going to be hotter than the surface of the sun. Pre-hydrate, okay? Pre-hydrate. Drink some water. Make sure you're hydrated very well. Make sure that your urine's clear. Got a nice clear color to it. Of course, you don't want to drink too much water. That has its own issues as well because you're not replacing, when you're drinking just water, you're not replacing the salts and the other electrolytes that you have to have for your body to operate properly. So moving on with that, you've got increased thirst, behind the curve, start drinking, dry mouth. If you're feeling tired or sleepy, you've got a decreased urine output. They're not going, you notice, and I'm guilty of this. I'll go into a training day and I may void that morning before I walk out the door to go to training, and the next time I void is, or pee or urinate, whatever you want to call it, will be when I get home that night. And I know as well as anybody, that's not good, okay? Now I have a big bladder because I work EMS. I still work on the street, and you guys that are still working the street know what I'm talking about. Sometimes you can't go to the bathroom when you need to, so you have to hold it. But that's not why. It's because I hadn't felt the urge, which means that I'm dehydrated, and that's brilliant. The medic, he's out there, he's dehydrated. Doctor, heal thyself. So anyway, make sure that you're going frequently, okay? The other thing is it could be headache, dry skin, and dizziness. It could be something as simple as you stand up and get that little bitty syncopal episode that you feel, and maybe you feel a little dizzy, but it goes right away. Now the major life threat stuff that you're looking at is, hold on just a second, I've got something right here I need to address. Well, yeah, okay. Anyway, sorry about that. So anyway, some of the major life threats is that the urine input has decreased so much where there is no urine output, or it's extremely dark and extremely smelly, and the dark urine can also be a mild to moderate sign and smelly, but you'll know it, okay? This will look like tea. it'll look like tea. It'll be really dark, and it'll be very little bit of it coming out. Dizziness or lightheadedness that actually affects walking. So if you stand up and you get that little swimmy headed feeling, or lightheaded or dizziness, and you actually like, oh, whoa, wait a minute, I can't walk, I can't do this. That's a problem. And then you start getting into the other stuff that, as soon as I start naming these off, you medics out there, EMTs, you all are gonna know exactly where I'm heading with this. Okay, you get a low blood pressure, high heart rate, lethargy, and confusion. All right, now what am I heading towards at that point? All right, we're starting to talk about shock signs and symptoms. Okay, that's hypovolemic shock. So at that point, when they get to that level, you're starting to look at treating that with IV fluids, but we'll go into that in more detail here in just a second. Of course, a fever, if they've got a fever, that can play into it. That means their body's heating up as well if it's a hot climate. And then, of course, get to that point as well, you're looking at seizures. And if you start to have seizure activity, that's a very bad thing, okay? And some of this is directly connected with heat injuries, which I'll do that in another video. That's a whole other thing. Dehydration to me is important enough to take up one video to get it out to you guys. So anyway, just like I said, the major life threats you want to watch for are low blood pressure, high heart rate. You're looking for signs and symptoms of hypovolemic shock, basically, okay? The extremely low or no urine output, dark, smelly, very dark, very smelly urine, and then the dizziness that affects the being able to ambulate, and of course the lethargy and confusion. Now to treat this, of course, number one, you're going to follow your local protocols. Whatever your medical director says you're going to do for this type of situation, that's what you're going to do. But just some general rules of thumb, you know, with my guys out there, we've got water for them, and we intersperse that with sports drinks, either like a Gatorade or a Powerade, and I don't make any money from either one of those two. But either Gatorade or Powerade, or some type of sports drink that has electrolytes in it, so they can replace that sodium and the carbohydrates. Okay, especially, and these guys will freak out, it's got so much sugar in it. They're burning it. It's not like they're storing it, okay? They're working hard, they're burning that sugar, they're burning those carbs. So they shouldn't have to worry about that. But they need to replace that sodium because they're going to sweat that out big time. All right, and of course if they're hot, you want to cool them down. You know, get them into a cool place, get them out of the heat, get them into a cool place. Preferably if you have a truck like we have an old ambulance that we've turned into our tactical medicine unit truck, where we can get them in there where the air conditioner's on, and we can start cooling them down that way, and we can give them IV fluids if we need to. But you want to avoid excessive cold. Okay, we've talked about, or at training before, we've talked about using ice sheets or something like that. I kind of got to digging on that a little bit, and some of the problems that could theoretically come into play there is if you're using an ice sheet, basically you take a sheet, put it in the cooler with the ice water and everything, and if you get somebody that's overheated, you can wrap them up to cool them down. Well, the thing that I see with that is the skin will actually vasoconstrict, and then if you get them shivering, well, guess what? They're going to start creating heat by the shivering, and if they're vasoconstricted, then they're not losing body heat. Okay, so they're starting the body's trying to fight two different battles here on two different fronts. So passive cooling, I'm good with cool IV fluids. Again, it goes back to whatever your local protocol is, whatever your medical director tells you to do, that's what you do. That's how you treat it when it gets to that level. One thing on IVs, if you're going to start an IV on these types of patients, you know you're going to give fluid boluses to them, start a large bore IV. That means anything 18 gauge, 16 gauge, 14 gauge, 12 gauge, and if you've got them 10 gauges. Of course, the 10 gauges are about this long, it seems like. So good luck if you can start one of those in an arm or something. But realistically, get that large bore IV so you can get that fluid to them and get them rolling like they need to. Okay. Now the other thing is, as far as like drinking, I'm gonna tie it up with this. And I've looked around at different things on the internet, and I encourage you to do the same thing. Kind of look at a lot of different things and see what's going to work for you. go to your medical director, talk to your medical director and see what that person, what your doc recommends for you to do as far as keeping your team hydrated. You may even want to consult a nutritionist, a dietitian. If you got your local hospital, go talk to your dietitian and talk to them about hydration. That's a resource that you've got that you can talk to. Remember, this is tactical medicine. We're trying to exist in a world when we're on an operation or a training where we have to do it all. So these relationships you build with these other people in other disciplines can pay off dividends for you in knowledge, okay? But one thing I found was kind of a body weight system kind of deal, where for the first 10 kilograms, you take their body weight, put it into kilograms, because you know in medicine everything's got to be in kilograms. So the first 10 kilograms, you're looking at 100 cc's, 100 mLs per kilogram, okay? And then for the next 10 kilograms of body weight, it requires an additional 50 mLs per kilogram. All right, and then for every additional kilogram of body weight over that initial set is 10 mLs per kilogram. So that's just kind of a range. Basically, it boils down to, under normal conditions, you're going to look between 3 and 2 liters of fluid water per day, okay, to keep people hydrated. Again, once it gets to dehydration, try to prevent this. You know, try to prevent it. Make sure they're coming in pre-hydrated. If not, as soon as they get to training, as soon as you get on the operation, have them down a bottle of water. Just, 12-ounce bottle of water, knock it back, and they'll be good. At least they'll be moving towards being better than they were when they started the op. So anyway, guys, I'm gonna leave it at that. Again, research this for yourself. I'm just, what I'm telling you is not the way, it's just a way. There's tons of ways you can do this, tons of ways that you can do prevention of dehydration. Talk to your doctors, talk to your medical directors, talk to your team physician, find out what they recommend, and then start implementing that plan with your team, okay? It's our job to take care of these officers, okay? These operators. We've got to keep them in the fight. We've got to keep them going. Same thing with you military guys. If you guys out there that watch my channel that are on teams, let me know what you're doing, because it may be something, hey, I need to go this route. I may look at what you're doing and say, man, that's a whole lot better than what I've got going on. I'm going that route. And of course, today, another thing that always kind of seems to go hand in hand with hydration and replacement of fluids and everything, and when we start talking about heat, is wet bulb globe temperature. I didn't even go into that because I'm going to be totally honest with you, I don't know how to figure it. If I don't have one of those little handheld weather stations that'll tell me that, I have no idea how to even figure that up. I know there's a mathematic process to that, and all I can say to that is math. I am not a mather. But anyway, thank you guys for watching so much. One big thing I do want to tell you about before I get out of here, coming up at the end of October, I think it's the 29th, 30th and 31st of October, 1st and 2nd of November is EMS World Expo in Nashville, Tennessee. I'm going to be there. The TacMed TV crew is going to be there. Jim Williams is going to be there. I've got 2 other new folks for you to meet when we get there. But we're going to be at EMS World Expo at the end of October, the 1st of November. We're going to be walking around the exhibit hall. We're going to be doing interviews with folks. We're going to be talking to the vendors. We're going to be talking to the conference attendees. I'm going to try to get some interviews with some of the presenters there, and I'm going to try to just flood you guys for like a whole week on videos for those of you that can't make it. If you are going to be there, find us. I'd love to meet you guys. If any of my subscribers are going to be at EMS World Expo in Nashville this year, please come find me. We'll be easy to find, trust me. Love to meet you guys. That would just make my day. So anyway, with that being said, thank you so much for watching the channel. I'm going to get more videos out to you guys. We've just had a lot of stuff going on the last couple of months, finally starting to get settled in. So thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. And as always, my name is Steve with TacMed TV, telling you guys to stay safe.